Okay. Hello, ladies. Officially, hello again now that we're recording. This is crazy to believe we're already in week 8. So we are almost 2/3 of the way through our group. And tonight we're going to be talking about sleep and your hormones. So, not talking about intentional eating, but talking about that hormonal health and how everything is connected. Really, really good stuff. And I know it's not everyone can stay on for the whole call, so it's recording. Lisa, if you have to go, you can catch the replay. The summary is get more sleep, get better sleep, and like the baby book, go the fuck to sleep. Like that is the moral of the story. But we're gonna go right into like the science behind how sleep affects your body, lack of sleep, and the hormones that it affects, and what they do to wreak havoc on us if we're not getting enough sleep. So that's the summary, but definitely stick around for the details. Let's jump right into check-ins, and then we'll get going. Lisa, do you want to start? And just so you guys know, I'm like picking Lisa to start first because for most of the rest of the calls, she's probably going to log on for the check-ins, but then watch the rest of the replay later because she can't stay for the whole call pretty often.
Thank you, Annie, and good to see everyone again. Looking forward to hearing how everyone else is doing too tonight. I'm getting back on track and feeling pretty good about tracking, and my goals for the week were to track my progress, which I did pretty well at. Keep not drinking alcohol because I just don't like drinking or don't like tracking alcohol as a macro. It just seems like such a waste. I enjoy a glass of wine or two, but I'm just not doing it. And then getting lots of good sleep and decent steps each day. In fact, I'm skating in quick from the dog park here because I just got to walk in before the sun went down. So those are the goals for the week, and I'm hitting them pretty well. So looking forward to hearing more about sleep too, Annie, because it's something that I'm very challenged with right now. But
yeah, everyone is.
Yeah.
Like all my clients tell me I don't drink enough water, I don't get enough sleep.
Mm-hmm. For me, it's the 4 a.m. wake up, and I don't know why, but it's either hormonal or stress, but working through it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'll throw a wrench into a good night's sleep for sure. Okay, good. Were those your goals for this coming week, or they were your goals, or both?
My goals for this last week were to get on track and start tracking my food again, because I had fallen off because of all of my family challenges. So it felt good to start using my fitness pal again and making sure that I was just hitting those protein targets and getting my food on track. So
good. Awesome. Okay, good. Well, awesome. It's good to see your faces here this week.
You too.
Okay, let's go BB, and then we'll go Caroline and Miriam. Hi, Miriam. I'm so glad you could join us. BB, hello.
So yeah, not enough sleep and not drinking enough water. Annie, you have job security for life. And 4 a.m. wake up, that will not be my problem when I retire. But right now, my alarm goes off at 3:45. So yeah, 4 a.m. is not my best friend, but you know, I've been doing it for 45 years, and chances are good tomorrow morning I won't want to get up either, but I will. Looking forward to not having to do that.
Do you ever wake up before your alarm, or is every morning like, ugh?
I wake up like at 1 o'clock in the morning or something. And I think it's probably 4 o'clock. So then I get up and look and see what my clock says, which is still set on daylight savings time. Or whatever we're not on, it's still on that. So next week it'll be right again. But and I see that I can go back to sleep, so that's a good thing. But no, I wake up and I have not yet gotten used to it and had it be normal. And so probably chances are good that I'm not gonna.
No, I mean, I could see 5 a.m. becoming normal, but 3:45.
Yeah. No. So anyway, just peanut gallery comments. I think what I've been working on this week and pretty much through this whole challenge is keeping track of my protein intake and my carb intake, and less by actual tracking this time and more by, well, I am tracking the protein, but with everything else, it's just being reasonable and sort of seeing what's going on. The scale's been pretty good. I actually was down to my lowest weight in probably 2 years a couple mornings ago. So that was
Wow.
good. Nothing, thank you, nothing crazy, but and it goes, up and down a couple of pounds for me, one morning to the next. So,
Mhm.
but it was really nice to see that number again, even though I know numbers don't mean too much, but it's sure nice when you see them.
Right.
And just so y'all know, Annie and I had a really good chat last week. I've been struggling a lot with stuff. And so I finally got off my butt and reached out and said, help me, please. And it was really good. And did you get my email?
Yes,
Okay, good.
I responded.
Okay, you did?
Not till today though.
Okay, good. Anyway, so I highly recommend that y'all do that if you need to, because she's very helpful. And things are actually going better. So I'm looking forward to bringing you up to date, Annie.
That is awesome. Good. And yeah, if any of you ever feel like I am just struggling with everything, or I'm overwhelmed by what we're doing, or like I just really need to chat, I am happy to do a one-on-one, even though I know this is a group program, but that's sort of the beauty of this, is that hybrid where I don't want anyone to feel like, oh, I fell off or I fell behind or Annie didn't even notice. I may ask you like, what are you struggling with, or what are your questions? And it might be something like, oh, I can answer that by email, or like everybody might be struggling with this. But if you're like, no, I just need a pep talk and a kick in the butt, I am happy to find some time if I can carve some out. So please do reach out to me if anyone else is feeling that way, because it happens. And that's why we're here. That's why I'm here.
Maybe I did that last week too with Annie. Maybe week 7's the week when we have that, like, I just need a reset.
Yeah. And I'm leaving Friday to drive down to Oak Ridge for our spring break trip. So that'll be fun. And we
What
have
day are you
kitchens.
leaving?
We got a hotel that has kitchens. So the kids will be cooking and so will the coaches. So that makes it easier to eat well and
Yeah.
take care of myself. So
Oh,
I'm
that's
leaving
really cool.
early Friday morning. I'm driving a trailer down. Not one of the big ones, one of the little ones.
Okay. Are you driving the lawn?
It's only 40 feet, not 70.
Okay. Well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, good. How long are you there all week? Coming back
Come back
Saturday?
Sunday night. We'll probably get home like dark early Monday morning.
Mhm. Okay. So, really, like, you've been through this before last year, but like road snacks, water on the road, all that stuff, that all, prepped and ready to go. You were like the queen of it for the first half of the season last year.
Yep. I bought, just got back from the grocery store, got water and got the makings for my Ninja cookies. So
Yes. Awesome.
and some fruit and some nuts. So I think I'm okay.
Good.
And a
Awesome.
small pack of M&Ms.
That's okay too. That is okay too. Okay, cool. Good. That's awesome. Anything else? How have your workouts been going?
Mostly walking right now. I had a doctor's appointment earlier this week, so we're working on some joint stuff.
Okay. Okay, cool. Anything else you want to share before we go on? Okay, awesome. We'll go Caroline and then Miriam. Unless Caroline can't right now. Let's go. Oh, there she is.
I'm here. Sorry. I don't know why. I was having a really hard time getting the unmute button to press. So I'm in the car. My camera's off, so I'm not looking at you guys or myself. But hopefully my sound quality is decent enough that you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you just fine.
Awesome. Thank you. So I traveled last week, and actually your conversation with Phoebe really echoed what we talked about right before I left. I packed my protein, I packed some snacks, including turkey, which I never expected that I would even be able to stomach, let alone like. And at the end of the day, I actually didn't even need all the snacks that I packed because I found I was able to, my goal last week, because I was traveling, was instead of like I put everything into my fitness pal, but it was hard to know with certainty since I didn't cook the food. I didn't have the opportunity to like weigh things. I just sort of eyeballed, and my goal was to do the macro balance plate. And I found that I could do that pretty well. And I supplemented my breakfast with the protein powder and had a protein bar. And with that, like I really didn't even need to use my snacks that I packed very often to more or less hit my macros. The challenge I experienced, like being, on the road without the ability to really control what I was eating, is that the fat and sugar was definitely higher. And part of that is, and I'm satisfied with this choice. So I was at a lodge on a ski mountain that they served breakfast and dinner, like that was part of the rate. And part of dinner was 4 courses. I didn't always do all 4 courses. Like you could do a soup or a salad. I mean, you could do soup. The first course was always soup. The second was always salad. And sometimes I would just do one. But I felt like I'm on vacation. The portions were very appropriate and I wanted to say yes to dessert. So part of the reason that the sugar and fat was probably higher is because of the dessert. And I'm totally fine with that. I skied every day. I used the gym at the hotel and I got really good lifts in. I did a little bit of treadmill since I was at altitude. And was happy to have had dessert. And so this week, my goal is really just to get back to my normal routine because, last week was sort of it was just more liberal in terms of like finding the macro balance plate and doing my best to estimate and hit my macros that way. And I think that's it.
That's awesome. And you sent me a message from
Oh, yes.
your trip about how you lifted heavier than you ever had while you were at the gym there.
Yeah, so the Gravitron, I don't know if anyone knows the Gravitron, but it's like the assisted pull-up machine where like there are plates, and the more plates you use, the more help you're getting from the machine on the pull-ups. And I thought originally, because I'm like a little bit heavier than I was all times prior, that, I should at least start with the weight I'm used to using as the assistant. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so I took off a couple plates, and like, even when I was, 5 pounds lighter, I needed more help. So like, it was heavier to lift myself and I needed less help. So that was really cool. And yeah, I was just pumped to know that like there was a gym, and I felt good about how to, make some workouts for myself on the road. And I did that, I more or less stayed on East Coast time, just because of like the nature of skiing all day and then being tired. Like I wasn't able to push through and stay up late. So it meant I was waking up at like 5 o'clock in the morning, and, they don't even put the coffee out till 6. Breakfast is until 8. The lifts don't open till 9. So I would just do my morning, I would do workouts in the morning. And that worked out really well.
That's fantastic. And I think you also said in your check-in or your message to me, your weight stayed relatively the same, right?
Oh, my weight stayed exactly the same, like down to the ounce.
Wow.
At first I was like, the scale must be broken. Like it's just giving me the reading from last week. So I weighed myself like 5 times thinking the scale was broken. And every time it gave me the exact reading that I left off with the last time I weighed myself a week ago. So yeah, I was totally prepared for it to go up because I was eating, on average, I would guess like 200 to 300 calories more per day. And so in my mind, I was like, that could easily be a pound of fat and I'm going to be okay with that, but it wasn't. And the other thing I'll say that I'd mentioned about the workouts, just like in terms of feeling strong, normally, like even when I've like run a marathon a month before skiing, I feel a little bit sore while I'm like during the ski week. Like skiing uses different muscles, but whatever workouts I've been doing lately, I think made it such that like I wasn't sore at all. The only time I was sore is I did a pretty heavy weight for triceps the first day, and like a day and a half later I felt my triceps, and I was like, that was definitely from my weightlifting exercise, not the skiing. So I felt in shape going into this like 5 days of, I don't want to say aggressive skiing, but powder skiing. Like you work, and I felt like totally up for the task.
That is awesome. Yay. What a great check-in. And I love the moral of the story is like really what I want for all of my clients that I ever work with is like, you went on vacation, you had a great time, you lived your life, you ate what you wanted, and the scale stayed the same, and you felt strong and like a badass on the slopes. Like that is just such a huge win all around.
And
So
I'll share one more thing because this might, I don't know, this might be helpful for other people. So you had to pay for wine with dinner, except like one day there was like a fondue après ski that came with wine, and one night like wine came with the meal. So I said, if the wine is free, I'll take the free glass of wine, but I'm not going to go out of my way to order wine and have to pay for any extra wine. And knowing that I was going to like turn down alcohol, I felt even more free to opt into hot chocolate during the like midday break. So, I was like, I'd way rather drink hot chocolate with even a little bit of whipped cream than have wine at night. So that helped. It made it easier to, say, yeah, no, thank you on the wine, even if my mom was ordering wine. Like that hot chocolate was way more worth it.
I love that. Love, love, love. And I love, like, that's the thing about like macros and intentional eating. It puts you in the position of it's your choice, right? It's not this victim language, like, oh, I don't get to have wine. I can't have wine. My health coach said I can't have wine. Like, no, you could have had whatever you wanted, right? But you chose it and you owned your choice. And I love that so much. And having those preset rules that we make for ourselves, like I find that really helps too with like how much you're going to have, how many glasses or whatever. So yay, awesome. Okay, thanks for the great check-in, Caroline. And I just also wanted to say, you said your goal for the week is just to get back to the normal routine. And I think that is a great goal because, what I see a lot of time with clients is a holiday, a long weekend, a vacation, that's not going to throw anyone off of your weight loss goals or your health goals. But what happens to people is they get out of their regular mode, and then they kind of delay in getting back to it. And they, eat all the leftovers. And then they're like, once the leftovers are gone, I'll get back to it. Or once I, whatever. So the faster you can just get like, right. Not even that you like went way off, because it sounds like you did great and made really good choices when you were there, but the sooner you can get boom, right back to your routine and tell your body and your mind, this is the norm. Like this is the standard, the easier it's going to be to like get back there and stay there. And the other thing is like a lot of times on vacation, people, eat and drink more. And so we're scared that the scale's going to go up, but you have to remember that our body is not just like, it's not a robot. It's not just more calories and scale goes up, because that stress factor is so, so important. So when you're outside in nature, you're playing, you're on vacation, you're relaxing, the stress is going way down. And so even if you're eating more calories, your metabolism is happy and it's healthy. And so like we're seeing that. That's really awesome. Okay, Miriam, how about you? Last but not least.
Sorry, I was also having issues unmuting.
That's okay.
I saw a little hand, but it wouldn't click on it. So, My update, so I also actually did go on vacation too. So I visited my parents. So first 7-hour drive with the baby, but we survived. So
Yay,
it was
that's a
good.
huge win.
I went in, thinking that, oh, I'm just going to my parents' house and it's going to be kind of a regular trip, day. But then I realized it's more of a vacation because we had family there and there was just a lot of eating out. So I
Mhm.
abandoned kind of tracking and, I heard Caroline say last week that she was also going to do intentional kind of eating and just not, be as into the numbers and just kind of relax and enjoy. So I kind of shifted into that mode as well. And for the most part, it worked out well. It was we had a family baby shower, so that day I probably had a lot more desserts than I wanted to, but it was one day, so it was fine. When I came back, I was up 2 pounds, but then I checked this morning and I was back down to where I was pre-trip. So I'm assuming that may have been just eating out, kind of the sodium and some of that stuff, just still in the body. And now that I've kind of gone back, it got better. So I feel like that was a good win, and I've been more consistently getting the 8 to 10,000 steps, even kind of over there. It was just, it's nice to just kind of be out and about or just kind of be walking. So I would say I wasn't tracking in my fitness pal, but overall I'd say a win because I thought I'd come back and that 2 pound increase would just stay throughout, but it actually hasn't. So it was nice to know that I can do it, without or know that I can do it is what I would say. So yeah, goals for this week. I've already been on track starting Monday to get, back on track with my fitness pal. My
Mhm.
protein's actually been better, hitting pretty close to my protein goal. So, maybe it was nice to just have a little bit of a reset, kind of, get away from it and reset it. So
Mhm.
I feel like I'm in a better headspace, tracking. And again, the goal is water because I think that's kind of, I started off strong and that's kind of fallen off on the wayside. So water and then just kind of continuing the steps and hopefully starting to get some of the workouts in.
Good. That is awesome. I know my parents, I mean, I'm from Wisconsin, you guys know that. So I can't go home without it being a vacation. And maybe everyone's parents are like this, but it's like special food, extra desserts, like let's have a drink. And it's every time I'm like, I'm just gonna bring all my own egg whites and spinach. And then after about a day, I'm like, oh, I don't want to be rude and say no to everything. So I certainly understand, but I love that you feel like, okay, like you did it. Yes, all the cheese curds are just like mandatory. Um, what was I going to say? And a couple of you have mentioned, the scale's up and it's fluctuating. And I love that, like it's okay if the scale is up 2 pounds, and it kind of depends on like how big of a person you are. I can easily gain 5 pounds in a weekend or overnight. And I know it because I know my body and I weigh myself every day. So if I didn't, I would probably step on the scale and freak out. But I know like all the reasons, just like Miriam, like you said, it's the sodium, it's the eating out, it's the sugar, and that stuff will generally flush right out in a day or two. And it's all just about getting back on track and telling your body and your mind, okay, that was just a little break and maybe we needed a little break. And so and if you ever feel like, any of you, like, I just need a break from being in this deficit, I need a break from tracking, I need a break from always being so disciplined, that is okay. It is a-okay to take a break. And in, I think, 2 or 3 weeks, we're actually going to talk about like the specific cycles of being in a deficit, taking a diet break, being in a deficit, taking a longer break. I'm going to make you all do it towards the end of our time together. But if there's ever a time before that where you feel like you just need a break, that might be what your body needs. It might be what your mind needs. And it's totally okay. And I love what you said, Miriam, was like, maybe you needed it. You came back, you were ready to get it. You've been on track, you've hitting your protein, and the scale is showing it. So that's awesome. Congratulations. And then, so you and I talked about kind of making a workout program for you. So you haven't started those yet, or?
No, I mean, again, I had high hopes that
Yeah.
I would do it, but not yet because we're still kind of dealing with sickness in the family and just kind
Mhm.
of, hopefully we're kind of, out of it with the
Yeah.
nicer weather coming through. So my goal is this week.
Okay, that's a good goal. They're there when you're ready for them. Okay, awesome. Those are you
You and
guys.
me,
Those are
Miriam. You and me, we can do that together.
yes, accountability partners. I love it. Okay, you guys, those are great check-ins. They made me all so happy, so proud of you. I just a little quick check-in on my part. I've been feeling really good getting to the gym like 4 days a week and then taking Wednesday and the weekend as rest days. I'm going to be swimming a lot more because if any of you saw my stories, I took Vivian to swim lessons for the first time. That was just the cutest thing ever. And then I had the epiphany that I could just take her to the gym, to the pool. So we went today and we like practiced, and that was really fun. So like that's the way. It's really hard for me to walk with her. And Miriam, you probably, well, I know you walk when your baby's at daycare, but like pushing the stroller through all the slush and the salt is just like, I've been getting about 6,000 steps because I'm running around after the baby, but like walking outside. So I'm going to be playing in the pool a lot more and getting that playtime and also that joyful movement. And a 6-month-old baby mermaid like playing in the pool, that is about as joyful as you can get. So that was really fun. My mom has been here visiting, and kind of the same as going to see family. I had like every intention of like, I am going to stick exactly to my macros, but then like every night turned into like a special meal or dessert, or my husband's all of a sudden making drinks. So I'll be sad to see her leave tomorrow, but I will be happy to get right back on track with my macros as well. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. And like I said, we are talking about sleep and your hormones tonight. Oh, I need to actually pull it back up because like I told you guys, I did that whole restart. So give me just a second here to pull up my slides. And while I'm doing this, by the way, I've started uploading all the slides into the Google Drive. So there's a link to all of them in that resource library. And I've already uploaded these slides from tonight. So if you ever want to go, go back or look at a specific graphic or specific information, you don't want to watch the whole recording, you can do that there, and you can just pull those slides and grab whatever information you want or need. Okay, this is one thing I love to talk about because like I said in the beginning, when I start talking about sleep, just like when I start talking about water, without fail, probably I would say 95% of my clients tell me, I know I don't get enough sleep. And they also say, I know I don't get enough water. So, sometimes it's just a reminder, but sometimes it's really important to understand how it's actually affecting your body to not get the sleep, and how it's affecting your weight loss goals, because it really does affect that very, very much. And so I'm going to just talk about that. And then also, a few practical tips of how to be a total sleep diva like I am to get the most best sleep you can. And Miriam, I'm curious as to how your sleep is with the baby right now. My Vivian's still waking up 1 or 2 or sometimes 3 times a night, and sometimes at 4:30. So I'm definitely not getting that solid sleep. But are you? Is your baby sleeping through the night?
Yeah, I mean, she would kind of go to sleep around 9, 10, and then 6 o'clock was kind of the wake up time. But since she's been sick, it's been less. So not as good, but if she wakes up, she's pretty good about kind of going back to sleep. So knock on wood.
Knock on
And
wood.
the
Well, I
older
hope
one's
she
sleeping.
feels better soon. And then she'll go right back to sleeping all night like an angel. And hi. And BB, we talked about your sleep. Your problem is up at the crack way before the crack of dawn. So getting to bed, and then probably, do you have any problems getting to sleep or staying asleep once you go to bed?
Not when I've been having problems with my back and my neck. And so that's been sort of a bummer of finding a comfortable position that I can sleep in. But when that's not the case, I can usually go to sleep. I just can't, I get home, especially when I get home late. It's like I want to have some downtime awake.
Yeah.
And so I should be going to bed earlier than I am, but that's sort of something I've chosen to do.
I totally get that. I once had a job actually in college, my 5th year. I worked at the Fetzer Center and I closed it. That's the student athlete center, you guys. And I worked there until 10. And then I would go to the gym, which was open till 11, and work out afterwards. And then I ended up watching really trashy TV shows because I could not just go home and go to bed. I had to like wind down. So I totally get that. I also have had a lot of clients who are parents who tell me I can't just go to bed at 8 or 9 when the babies or the kiddos go to bed, because I need some adult time. And the logical, the rational thing is go to bed. It's better for you. Like, start your bedtime routine. But I totally get it in every instance why you just, people just need time to kind of like wind down or feel like you have some time to yourself before, you just like go to sleep and then start the whole cycle again the next day. Caroline, how about you? If you can unmute yourself, what's your sleep situation like?
So it's generally, I would say, pretty good. Typically, I think I average about 7 hours a night. I have no problem falling asleep at any hour. Like it could be 7 p.m. If I lay down, I'll knock out. Get a little challenged is I tend to wake up like in the middle of the night, like 2 or 3 o'clock, and I'm falling back to sleep sometimes. Either because I'm like, oh no, I only have 4 hours left to sleep, and my mind starts going, or sometimes I just have a harder time falling back to sleep. And it doesn't help. I have 3 animals, 2 cats and a dog, and it's like they have this sense where like I don't even realize I'm awake, but as soon as they realize I'm starting to wake up, one of the cats in particular will like jump right on top of me and like, she speaks this little language that I'm the only one who understands, but she does these like little chirps, and they're her way of saying like, hey, do you want to feed me? And if I don't give in and get up and give her food, then she'll like throw things off a table, or, you just have to, the easiest thing to do is get up and feed her. And usually I'll like take the opportunity to pee, but getting up again, that makes it sometimes a bit hard to fall asleep. So the hardest thing for me is if I wake up, I run the risk of losing 30 to 60 minutes, sometimes even more if I have something going on in my life that my mind starts to ruminate on.
Mm-hmm.
But generally I still get like 7 hours.
Good. Okay, good. I also have a cat who does not ever wake me up, but as soon as he senses me like roll over or something, same thing. They just must have that sense. And yeah, that is the worst, when you wake up and then you start getting angry because you're like, I have to get up in 2 hours. Like, this is not the time to be awake. Sometimes if that happens to me, I will just get up and start doing something and then figure out how I can like take a nap during the day or something, because it's hard enough to fall back asleep when your mind is racing, and then you get upset because your alarm's going to go off soon.
And I've heard people say like, if your mind is going, like, maybe turn on a low light and just try to write down whatever's on your mind, like do a brain dump. I don't know why. I've never really tried it because it feels so counterintuitive to me. Like, I feel like the more I engage, the more awake I'm going to be. So I always just try to like keep the lights really low, pee, feed Chloe, and, just like get back in bed, as opposed to getting back in bed, having my mind start going, and then like getting up again. And like you, like if it ends up being that I'm awake and sort of in my head for a little while, like I just try to find time to take a nap or go to bed earlier the next night. But if anyone has had success, like being fully awake and your head, if you really think that works, I'm all ears.
I would like to hear it too. I've heard of that also, is like do a brain dump either right before you go to bed or, if you wake up. But I tend to do the same thing because usually it's one thing that has my mind spinning. So I will just get up and like work on it if it's 3 a.m. and get like 2 hours and then go back to bed for 2 hours or something like that. Okay, let's get into these slides. So before we go, more into the sleep stuff, we've been mostly over in the intentional eating pillar. We talked about calories, macros. Next week, we're going to talk about micronutrients and the quality of food. And so we're going to be back in that intentional eating pillar. But for, this week, I want you to just keep stacking those wins, stacking those goals. So doing that 5-2 low carb day, high carb day split, hitting your protein, carbs and fat. If that's too much, I love how, we sort of heard in the check-ins, like a range of what I would call intentional eating tonight, everywhere from tracking everything to just trying to hit the protein, stay under the calories, or building that macro balanced plate. Really, all of it can work, but it doesn't work if you get overwhelmed and like just throw in the towel. So it's so important. And I love that all of you are like being like, this is what I can do. And this is what is working for me right now. And so just sort of knowing that and working on the goal that like works for your life. I love that. And then keep getting your steps plus workouts if you want to. But the steps are so much more important. And that's why right here on the pyramid, the NEAT activity, that's the non-exercise activity thermogenesis. It just means how many calories you're burning throughout the day from movement rather than exercise. That is 15 to 20% of your metabolism, whereas exercise is above it. And that's like 5% of your metabolism. So if you're picking one, pick that movement, pick those steps, pick that joyful movement, and don't feel guilty about skipping a workout, especially if you're skipping a workout so that you can take a nap or meal prep, because those are always going to be more affect, your overall metabolism, your overall calories, your overall progress towards your goal, much more than one workout that you do or don't do. And then, practicing the stress management techniques we talked about last week. And then the last one is sleep, which we're going to get into tonight. One reason I am so excited about this is because I think we just have a culture of bragging about lack of sleep and, not taking care of ourselves in general. But coming from the law firm world, I saw it all the time where people, would pull all-nighters and be bragging about that, work all weekend, not take a rest day, brag about that. In fact, my Instagram, my little caption, if you were friends with me back then, I don't really even have access to it anymore, but my personal Instagram, I said, living on dry shampoo and caffeine. Like that was my little tagline. And I was like, yeah, I'm such a badass. I like hustle so hard. I'll sleep when I die. That is not cool. And we need to just change our culture that rest is important, that sleep is important, that sleeping like a boss is a great goal and a worthy thing to do with our time. And that sleeping isn't lazy. Sleeping, going to bed early, taking naps, sleeping in late is not lazy. It's important and it's critical to our recovery, to our weight loss goals, to our health, to all kinds of things. So why it is so important. And I think it's also really interesting to note that early sleep is actually better than late sleep. There's people who are night owls who are like, oh, it doesn't matter. I go to bed at 1 and then I sleep until 9 or 10 in the morning. that sleep, that late night sleep is not as good, not as high quality as the earlier night sleep, because between 10 o'clock and 2 a.m. is when we produce the most amount of melatonin. It's when our body wants to be sleeping. It's when it expects to be sleeping. And that melatonin that's produced during that time where our body thinks we should be sleeping, it influences human growth hormone secretion, but it's only producing the melatonin if we're sleeping, right? So the human growth hormone is used to help the body burn fat, repair collagen, regenerate body tissue, improve bone density, enhance immunity. Even though everyone's acting like COVID's over, like we're still we're in an endemic right now, but it's still here, and repair cells. So I like to think of sleep as like the physical garage. If your body is like a premium race car, the nutrients, the food that we give it is like the mechanics that are fixing the car when it pulls into the pit stop to get fixed, but it has to be physically in the garage for them to do their work, right? Like if the car just keeps driving and driving and driving, even if the mechanics have all the tools that they need, they can't do the work unless the car's in the garage for enough time. And that is just like our body. It's not going to be repaired. Those neural pathways aren't going to be like cemented of what we're learning, the short and long-term memory. The recovery from the workouts that we are doing is not going to be able to recover if we're not getting that sleep and that early sleep. The other thing is this graphic doesn't say it, but around 11 o'clock, again, our body expects to be sleeping between like 10 and 2 at least. And so if it's still awake at 11 o'clock, you're going to get a shot of cortisol through your body, because your body thinks, why am I still up? There must be like some kind of emergency I need to be prepared to deal with. And that's when people get sort of like a second wind late at night. It's not for a good reason. It's because your body thinks if you're still up, there must be like danger, or there must be something that I need this like adrenaline and cortisol. So it's going to like shoot that through your system. So even if you are a person who stays up pretty late, please try to get to bed before 11 as like your absolute cutoff, because that it's going to be harder to go to sleep and get that good sleep after 11. But ideally, I would love everyone to sleep even significantly before that. Some of the effects of sleep deprivation, and I will tell you as a new mom, all of these are really, really real. Anything from, mood changes, memory issues, it ages your skin, more important physical problems than, aging your skin, like high blood pressure, risk of diabetes, weakened immune system, trouble concentrating, trouble thinking, weight gain. And we're going to talk about specifically why that happens tonight. Just in a few minutes, and increased cravings. Those two things go hand in hand, and reduce performance at work and at the gym, physically and mentally. If you are deprived of sleep, everything is worse. It's also much more difficult to deal with stress and for your body to deal with stress. So if you have a high stress job or life, and I honestly think we all do these days, and you're not getting sleep, that is an important time for your body to deal with that stress and deal with those hormones that are in your body. Okay, so these are the hormones that I'm talking about specifically, and they're new ones. Well, probably not human growth hormone, but leptin and ghrelin are hunger hormones that are affected by sleep. So they work in tandem, they're a pair. Ghrelin tells your body when you're still hungry. Leptin tells your body when you're full. So that sends out the fullness cues. Ghrelin sends out the hunger cues. If you're not getting enough sleep, your body is crying out for energy. And the way it does it is by messing up with those hormones. So your leptin is going to be off, and you're not going to know when you're really full and satisfied, because your body's going to be craving more sugar, more easily digested, easy processed food, so it can get that quick energy, even though it doesn't necessarily need more calories, it needs energy that it should be getting from sleep. So even though you don't need more calories, your body is going to say, I'm not satisfied, I'm not full. And it's going to send that leptin out, and you're going to have more cravings for sugar, carbs, sweets, that kind of stuff. Ghrelin is the flip side. It's like, I always think ghrelin is like grumbly tummy. The ghrelin is going to be off as well. So it's going to send out more hunger cues saying, I'm hungry, I'm hungry. And same thing, it's going to get you craving sugar, carbs, sweets, stuff like that. That's going to be like a quick shot of sugar to your system, which is going to spike your blood sugar and then crash it, rather than the good restorative energy that you would get from sleeping. That is why lack of sleep leads to cravings and leads to weight gain. The other thing we talked a little bit about, or I talked a little bit about, human growth hormone. So that's essentially the muscle building hormone that's produced when you sleep. It also helps your neural pathways. So anything that you learn, your short-term memory, all that is reinforced at night when you're sleeping. So if you're working out, if you're exercising, it's going to be really hard for your body to build muscle, burn fat, and recover if you're not getting enough sleep. Any questions about any of those things? No? Okay. Okay, how much sleep do you really need? This, just like everything else, the answer is it depends. It really does depend. The average is, you probably all heard this before, 7 to 9 hours of sleep per person. Most of my clients are doing, like, feel like are doing good if they get 7 hours. That is the minimum on the average, right? And I know so many people who say, I don't need that much sleep. I get by on, I do great on like 4 to 5 hours of sleep. I guarantee they would do better on at least 7 hours of sleep. We've just trained your body to operate in continual level of sleep deprivation. That does not mean it's your peak performance. And I've seen that really directly, like, since the baby's been born. There's been 1 or 2 nights where I have been able to sleep all the way through, and I just feel like a night and day different person. I'm nicer. I'm more peaceful. I'm like more even tempered. I think much more clear. And the nights where my sleep is really interrupted or really short, it is the exact opposite. So I've done the research over the past 6 months, but it's really, I think I'd be curious to know, maybe you guys can put this in your check-ins, like how much sleep you think you need and how much sleep you get on average. And I have had clients who say, I need like 9 hours of sleep, and that's how much I get. And I've like, that was like one client, she really sticks out to me. Most other ones say like, I think I need like, I'm getting like 6 or 7 maybe. But it's pretty rare. And it's okay to sleep more, to sleep on that higher end of the spectrum. Okay, so the last thing I just want to go over, we're going to be perfect on time tonight, is just some tips on how to sleep more and sleep better. Because if you're sleeping for 9 hours, but it's uninterrupted, it is interrupted, if you're waking up several times or it's not good sleep, then it's the same as getting 5 hours of very good sleep. So we want to get more sleep and we want to get better sleep. So I want everyone aiming for quantity of, 7 to 9 hours. I would be amazed and impressed if anyone's getting 9 hours of sleep. Really amazed by it. But you want to look at how much you're getting. And if you have a Fitbit or an Apple Watch, my Fitbit tracks not only the amount of sleep, but the quality, and then it gives me a sleep score. And I think that is really nice. I love looking at that and seeing, or at least I did before the baby is born. Now I'm like, I can't even look. It's like disjointed in like 2 or 3 different things. But that sleep score is really a nice thing to look at, where you have sort of a matrix of the quality and quantity of your sleep, and you can compare it across different nights and try to increase it. It is really helpful to have a sleep routine. And we talked about this in the very beginning. I think in the holiday, the Nourish holiday, we talked about it. And then the first week of setting that routine. So, if you've gone away from that, I would invite all of you to revisit that, look at what you wrote down and what you sent to me. This is going to be my bedtime routine. This is going to be my bedtime. Now, if that didn't work out for you, there's no problem. Like, create a new one that serves you, but try, at least for this week, sticking to it like super, super, like 100%. And see, does it help you sleep better? Does sleeping better make you feel better? Is it going to speed up your weight loss? Is it going to make you in a better mood, think more clearly? It's also really, really good for our bodies to go to sleep and wake up at the same time every day, including weekends. So just like you can throw off your weight loss results by having, being a work week dieter and then going nuts on the weekends, you can really throw off your routine by going to bed at 9 o'clock Sunday through Thursday, and then Friday night you're trying to stay up till midnight. And it's like, it's hard on your body, it's hard on everything. So I really encourage you all to be like, this is my bedtime 7 nights a week. It's the same thing. Feels very boring and very old, but I promise you it will be good for your body to have that consistency. Really helpful to turn off all electronics like an hour before bed. And I know that can be really hard, but especially if you're working, if you're watching TV, but at least, 30 minutes, shut it down, turn on the lamp. So you're turning on that softer light. If you are looking at, your screens, try to get those blue light glasses to block that blue light. The other thing, I really encourage people to get an alarm clock, like the kind that is a clock, not on your phone, and put that in your room, because I've had so many clients tell me I have to have my phone in my room because it's my alarm clock. Your phone does not have to be your alarm clock. They still sell clocks at Target or Amazon that you can set. Also, I use my Fitbit as an alarm, and it has a really, really nice feature where it senses. It's called the smart alarm, and it's like at the time you set or up to 30 minutes before, it senses when you're in a light sleep. So, and then it wakes you up. So you can, like, I set my alarm for 5:30 and it wakes me anywhere from 5 till 5:30 when I'm in like a good place to be woken up. And it just vibrates a little, and it wakes me up, and it's amazing because I see the difference when I'm in like a deep sleep and all of a sudden the baby starts crying and I'm like, oh my God, versus having that. So if you guys have a Fitbit, or I would guess Apple Watch has the same feature, check that out. It is really nice to be woken up kind of gently when your body's like in the right spot for it. But having that as your alarm is another way you can have the phone out of your bedroom so you don't get sucked into that, like, oh, let me just check one last text message, one last email, and all of a sudden you're down a social media rabbit hole, 30 minutes later, or like up in arms about something you saw someone posted or on the news. I've said, like, there's those rules like no eating after 7 or no carbs after a certain time. Like, that does not really matter. It does not matter what time that you eat. However, going to bed on either a totally full stomach or an empty stomach is going to make it hard to sleep. So I would recommend, stopping eating about 2 hours before you go to bed. And if you're going for that gallon of water, cutting off, sort of hitting that water hard in the first half of the day and then sort of tapering off so that you're not necessarily waking up to go to the bathroom multiple times during the night. I really like taking either like melatonin or sleep gummies. There's a bunch that is available over the counter now as a sleep supplement to just help me get like really relaxed and into a nice sleepy state. Does anyone else take anything like this that they recommend? I don't take them now because I can fall asleep in like a second. So I have no problem. But I've had clients ask me like, do I recommend it? Do I not? And I anything that helps you get better sleep, I recommend. And these are, they're over the counter. They're just like sleep gummies or like a little sleep tea. And it's mostly like melatonin. Sometimes it's magnesium. But if it helps you sleep deeper and sleep better and go to sleep, I highly recommend it. And then, last thing is make sure your room is dark, cool, quiet. Add some white noise, either a sound machine or a fan. And then whatever it takes, blackout curtains, sleep mask, earplug. I actually sleep with every single thing on this list: blackout curtains, sleep mask, earplugs, and white noise machine for the baby with I'm like the princess and the pea. But it's because I know how important sleep is, and I will do like anything to get that sleep. Okay, that's all I have. So my challenge for you guys for this week is to really take this to heart. Go back to your bedtime routine that you set in the very beginning. Evaluate, like, were you doing it? Was it working for you? Was it not working for you? Is there anything that you want to add? Anything that you want to change? And then really, really go for it. And I'm going to ask next week in our check-ins, like what you did, how it worked out, how are you sleeping, all stuff like that. Okay. All right. I am going to stop sharing and just check the chat one more time. Is it the same in any other direction? I really sleep on my mornings off. Oh, BB, like to wake up at the same time?
Is it okay to sleep in?
Yeah, because you're chronically sleep deprived.
Yes. I can sleep. That's not a
It is-
problem.
Yeah. The more sleep is always better. It's kind of like when I tell you guys when the scale goes up, it could be because of sodium or water or carbs or stress. But when it goes down, you lost that weight, right? But like same thing with sleeping. Like if you could go to bed at the same time every day and get up, but like sleep as late as you can on Sunday or whatever, for sure. But I think if you weren't chronically sleep deprived, you would probably, and if you weren't chronically getting up at 3:45, you probably would, just settle into a rhythm of like, okay, like I go to bed at 10, I get up at 7, something like that. But no problem sleeping later, no problem taking naps. I don't think you can like fully catch up on sleep,
Right.
but it does make you feel a lot better too. Like you can't like fully catch up on sleep, but it definitely makes you feel better to get a good nap and sleep in late on whenever you have the opportunity. That was a really good question. Any other questions before I let you guys go tonight? Okay. I'm excited to hear about everybody's sleeping throughout the week. So if you have any tips or tricks or epiphanies, please share them in the Facebook group, and I will be in touch with all of you guys by email tomorrow with your check-ins. And I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you in the Facebook group. Okay, bye everybody.